I think it's fair to say that all of us have easily watched the new Ninjago trailer revealed at LegoCon way more than once at the very least, and I think you'd be surprised as to how many secret details that are scattered throughout most of the scenes in this trailer, which is precisely why yesterday I went back through the entire trailer, paused it scene by scene, and tried to find as many secrets or just easily missed details. And to be honest, you would be surprised as to how many tiny bits of information can be found in the background of some of these shots. So without further ado, I present to you my findings. And a quick FYI here, we are just going to be going through these in order. A few scenes won't have actually made it into this video just because, well, there's nothing to go over in the shot. What you see is literally all you get. But for the rest, well, let's get into it. So starting off right at the beginning here, we have a shot in which the monastery is on fire. I presume this is the episode in which Asphera and the others completely attack everyone in there, and we also have a leaked clip of that scene taking place, and I'd imagine towards the end, once they get the golden weapons, they just straight up set fire to the place. Now what's interesting to note here is the fact that Nia is not present in this scene, although she is present in a few other scenes where this scene takes place, but for some reason, as they are all stood outside the monastery, she is not there. So maybe she ran away for help or something like that. Maybe she's still in there and it's trapped. We're not really too sure, only time will tell, but that is definitely one detail here not many have actually picked up on. Moving on, we see the Oni Temple, and to be honest, as we get more and more shots of this thing, the more I think it is definitely the Oni Temple from Season 8. It just seems to be the case. It looks pretty much the same, just in a new animation, and up close in more detail. And I mean, the thing is literally floating and on the move now, and also the locations with the trees, it all matches up to Primeval's Eye from Season 8, which is very, very interesting to say the least. Next, we get a shot of the Crystal King either powering up his army or powering up his own 4 arms. As we can see, the Vengestone warriors are still just solid Vengestone people that haven't actually been animated yet, but at the same time, the Crystal King is actually gaining his 4 arms, so maybe he is kind of getting his 4 arms and then using these big power blasts to wake up these Vengestone warriors and turn them into real animated people. But that is basically what I think about this scene, and that's what I think is taking place, but I could be wrong on just a few details there. Next up, we get another shot of the Oni Temple. This thing throughout the entire trailer seems to be on the move. I'm not too sure what's moving it. I have touched on this in a previous video before. There is something going on with it that's making it move around the place. It moves from Primeval's Eye all the way to the very center of Ninjago. I don't think that is actually Borg Tower. I think that's another building, although maybe I'm wrong, but it also seems to me that basically something very similar to the Season 2 final battle is happening, where the Overlord builds a big fortress in the very center of Ninjago and crystallizes it. But that's basically what's happening in this shot. It's very, very menacing, very creepy, and I cannot wait to see this full scene, probably taking place in the finale. Next up, we have another shot of what I was literally just talking about. In case you didn't quite pick up on this, the ninja are in the bounty here, going along somewhere, probably back from Primeval's Eye, and this is a shot of the Oni Temple in the air, probably going to the center of Ninjago, slowly but surely making its way there. Next up, we see Garmadon and Lloyd, which obviously on its own is not a really key detail, but something to note is that in the background there does seem to be either a skull or some sort of shield there, and then there is another one just over here behind that crystal, but they also appear to be in the library of, well, Scales. This seems to be the Scales library. It would match up with the whole underground vibe that they are going for, possibly to research on the Overlord once again, as they have done before in Season 3. Interesting stuff to note there. Next up, we see Garmadon in the middle of the city. Yeah, this is definitely the city. It's pretty obvious to tell there. There's a traffic light and whatnot. And he is basically powering up here with these huge epic wings. And right in the background, he is fighting a huge crowd of Vengestone warriors. So next up we get this shot right here, which on its own isn't really anything too major, but at the same time this also does appear to be the scene in which Lloyd fights Harumi and then ends up losing and gets put into Vengestone chains. We do see a clip of that, which I won't be showing now, but for now this appears to be Harumi calling in all of the villains, and they are just sat watching Lloyd dangling in the air in his Vengestone chains. Very intimidating stuff there. I cannot wait to see the scene in the episode. Next we see Garmadon powering up. Nothing too big here, but it is interesting, and this also appears to be the scene in which he gets his 4 arms, which is something very cool to keep in mind. Next up, we see Garmadon again. This time he is fighting this big golem type thing. That's what I'm going to call it for now. A big Vengestone dragon creature type thing. This also does appear in the Samurai X-Mech set, which is a really cool build, and it seems to be just as good in the actual show. Very, very cool stuff there, and they are actually in Ninjago City somewhere. Next, we see Jay in this location, which may seem familiar to some of you, and that is because it was the same place, the same fields we saw in the Seabound premiere with the fight between Misdemeanor and the Ninja. So once again, this is really cool stuff here. I'm glad to see that these locations are returning. It was cool to see at the beginning, and it's cool to see here now. Next, we see Primeval's Eye once again, which I believe, yeah, this is definitely Primeval's Eye, and here we actually see Harumi, I believe, running towards the bounty. And yeah, interesting stuff here. This is also probably to do with when the Oni Temple gets activated and starts floating in the air. Next up, we see the Skull Sorcerer with his animated weapon. A lot of people have been confused as to what weapon this actually is, which golden weapon it is, but this is actually the Scythe of Quakes, I believe, although I could be maybe wrong on that, but from what I can tell, this definitely is the Scythe of Quakes. Another interesting thing to keep in mind is that he actually has a set accurate mask here without the mouth or anything like that. Very interesting. It's just a blank mask with the two eyes showing. And this is another bit of the same scene. Yeah, that's definitely got to be the Scythe of Quakes there. And he is actually flying in the air to chase Lloyd here, which is probably in the very next episode we will see, episode 13, because it's the exact same location. This is probably when Lloyd tries to escape or something, and all of the villains are going after him. Next, we see what is possibly a scene from the final battle. Cole has his golden suit on, so yeah, those are actually show accurate suits. They aren't just there for the sets. Interesting. And we also see some more of these golem dragon type Vengestone things. They are very interesting, and also that does appear to be Vinny from NGTV News down there making a reappearance. You just love to see it. Next, we see Lloyd getting kind of power blasted, and there is also another shot, I believe, that I've got to go over. Yeah, kind of in the wrong order there, but these golden weapons are below him. For example, we see Zane's ice shurikens, and then we see the Scythe of Quakes. They all kind of appear below him to create this big vortex portal type thing, I think is what it is, although it could just be a random generic power blast. Whatever the case, it sends Lloyd flying just here. And that doesn't look too good for Lloyd. He is definitely in a bit of a situation there, but that is such a badass scene. I love the look of it. Next, we see Sensei Wu actually activating his Spinjitzu on the bounty against these Vengestone golems for the third time in this trailer. Interesting stuff. And also, if you look closely in the left corner, we see Lloyd in his golden suit. So cool. I cannot wait to see that Oni mask in full effect. Here, though, it does appear that to me that he just has his usual golden ninja hood on, but still interesting stuff to keep in mind. Next up, we see probably another kind of sequence that's going to be taking place in the same episode where the Oni Temple has been activated. I've brought that up a lot, but this does seem to be the same jungle type location, aka the Primeval's Eye. And if we take a really good look down here, I believe that is Harumi, judging from the white speck. I think that's probably Harumi, and considering she was also in the scene in which she chases Lloyd to the bounty in the air, yeah, that's most likely going to be Harumi. Next, we see Nia. Interesting stuff here. I actually can't remember if we've already seen this scene in one of the episodes. I don't think we have, but there's a small chance I could be wrong on that. But maybe this is also taking place in the fire in the monastery type thing, where the villains go there and steal all of the golden weapons. Very interesting. It's really interesting that she's actually not present in the very first shot we discussed at the beginning of the video, though. Next, we see this scene, and I've already basically touched on this in a whole separate video, but this is actually an old shot from episode 5, 6, somewhere around there. Could be wrong though, as we do see this AC unit. This is when Asphera is stealing away her elemental power, and yeah, she is in the air. As you can see, these are all the waves coming from Asphera's staff to take away her elemental power, to turn her back to a human. So yeah, old shot. She is not returning to her water form yet, at least. We don't know about the future. Next, we see another shot of the big Oni Temple in Ninjago City. This thing is so cool. I hope we kind of see it slowly move towards Ninjago throughout the season. I think that would be such a cool thing to have it slowly move with each episode. That would be a really nice touch before it slowly but surely enters the very center of Ninjago towards the very end. That would be so cool. Next, we see a first look of sorts at Kai's kind of vehicle thing. I don't even know what to call it. A bike, I guess, maybe? But yeah, this is the first time we actually see it properly with all of its true colors. This time it's not camouflaged in episode 5. So yeah, it's cool to see all of the red and yellow kind of colors here. It seems to be powering up towards something. We see, well, I mean, just look at all of those guys. If I zoom in there, you can just see all of these insane Vengestone warriors attacking pedestrians. But then in the next scene, I believe this is Cole completely just crushing them with his huge car, which is great. Cole saves the day, I guess, in this scene. Next, we see the bounty. I mean, is there anything else to even say about this? The bounty has been destroyed for the 1 billionth time. Wow, it's just like a complete trend at this point for the bounty to get completely crushed. Almost a bit like in Season 8, actually. It gets completely split in half. I wonder what caused that. A fire, it seems, maybe. Very interesting. I cannot wait to see how this all goes down. Next, we see, well, this is the actual Crystal King powering up in the very end. As you can see, he's got 4 legs, as he does in the actual set variant. We see his golden ribcage there, and that face is just so menacing. It looks insane. Dare I say, it looks way better in the show than in the sets, but that does not mean by any means that the set variant is bad. I still love it, but it just looks way better here. It looks literally insane. And then right at the end here, we see a shot towards the camera where the Overlord comes flying straight into the screen, and that is pretty much it. Oh, and we also have this shot right here, which is really, really epic. We see a few returning characters here. For example, we've got Kilo on the Ninja team, it seems, Cole, Zane, Wu, Skylar, Nia, and over here we've got Kai. So this seems to be a resistance of sorts this season, coming out to the rescue. I am not too sure what that building is in the background. If anyone can translate that, let me know in the comments. That would be really, really awesome. But yeah, this shot, really, really great. I made a whole Instagram post kind of dedicated to this scene because I think it's so cool. But yeah, and then here we also see Master Wu charging towards the camera in such a badass way. Just look at that. And yeah, that's just great. And also, this is kind of really out of place here, but at some point in the trailer we do actually see Cole save or basically fall with Racer 7. So Racer 7 is returning from Prime Empire. That is awesome to see. And also we see Vinny from NGTV News again. I've already covered this shot, but just without the Racer 7 part. Really, really great stuff there. And with that being said, that does conclude today's video, going over each frame that reveals something awesome in the new trailer. Some of this stuff you guys may have known already, maybe, but at the same time, a lot of it is kind of secret, and if you've only watched this trailer a few times, you definitely have not picked up on all of these key details that I've pointed out here. So yeah, I hope this video helped out in some way, shape or form, and I hope you guys learned something, at least one thing new from it with today's video. With all of this being said, drop a like on it if you did enjoy it, subscribe to the channel for so much more like this, plus a whole lot more. I do upload daily. You guys are going to love the content if you enjoyed this one, and also hit that notification bell so you're going to be the first to watch the new content the second it does get posted. With all of this being said, I'll see you all in my next video, releasing very, very soon. Goodbye.